Miyembro ka ba ng isang youth organization? May mga proyekto ba kayong nagawa o ginagawa ngayon para magbigay suporta sa mga kababayan natin sa panahon ng pandemya? Pagkakataon nyo nang sumali sa Search for 10 Accomplished Youth Organizations Awards o TAYO. Ngayong ika-18 taon ng TAYO, nais namin bigyang pagpupugay ang bayanihan ng kabataang Pilipino. Bisitahin lamang ang tayoawards.net/jointayo, fill up ng form at isubmit. Maaari kayong mag-submit ng maraming entries hanggang August 18, 2020. Ang mga tatanghaling awardee ay makakatanggap ng 50,000 pesos na SEA Grant mula sa Coca-Cola Foundation Philippines at San Miguel Corporation. Ano pang hinihintay nyo? Tayo na!
Gisingin na ang diwa, salubungin ang umaga. Handa ka na ba? Masdan mo ang daluyong, umaagos ang pagtulong sa kapwa. Sa kapwa, may sinag sa iyong puso na hindi na maitatago. Ang silong mo'y lisanin na. Liwanag mo'y sisigla kung tayo'y magsasama-sama sa lupa nating naghihingalo. Tayo ang pagbabago, sabay nating suyuin. Mailap na pagkakaisa sa pagsikat ng bagong araw. Buong pusong isigaw na tayo ang pagbabago. Yakapin ang pagkakaiba. Liwanag mo'y sisigla kung tayo'y magsasama-sama sa lupa nating naghihingalo. Tayo ang pagbabago, sabay nating suyuin. Mainap na pagkakaisa sa pagsikat ng bagong araw. Buong pusong isigaw na tayo ang pagbabago, sabay nating suyuin. Mainap na pagkakaisa sa pagsikat ng bagong araw. Buong pusong isigaw na tayo ang pagbabago. Tayo ang pagbabago. Liwanag natin iisa, kaya tayo nang magsama-sama sa lupa nating naghihingalo. Tayo ang pagbabago, sabay nating suyuin. Mailap na pagkakaisa sa pagsikat ng bagong araw. Buong pusong isigaw na tayo ang pagbabago, sabay nating suyuin. Mailap na pagkakaisa sa pagsikat ng bagong araw. Buong pusong isigaw na tayo ang pagbabago. Tayo ang pagbabago. pagbabago.
Miyembro ka ba ng isang youth organization? May mga proyekto ba kayong nagawa o ginagawa ngayon para magbigay suporta sa mga kababayan natin sa panahon ng pandemya? Pagkakataon nyo nang sumali sa Search for 10 Accomplished Youth Organizations Awards o TAYO. Ngayong ika-18 taon ng TAYO, nais namin bigyang pagpupugay ang bayanihan ng kabataang Pilipino. Bisitahin lamang ang tayoawards.net/jointayo, fill up ng form at isubmit. Maaari kayong mag-submit ng maraming entries hanggang August 18, 2020. Ang mga tatanghaling awardee ay makakatanggap ng 50,000 pesos na SEA Grant mula sa Coca-Cola Foundation Philippines at San Miguel Corporation. Ano pang hinihintay nyo? Tayo na!
Hello everyone! Good evening! Isa pong dito sa Taytay Rizal, isa pong medyo maulan na gabi for our second episode for Tayo Talks Friday Fam Nights. If you haven't joined us last week, so Friday Fam Nights is our take for our usual Friday hangout kasama yung friends. If we were not in quarantine, probably siguro you're inviting your friends after man yan ng klase or after man ng work for dinner, kwentuhan, kape-kape, etc. So that's our take for this one. And for tonight, hopefully it's very very timely in a sense na last Monday, kakatapos lang ng SONA, which is the State of the Nation address by President Duterte. And we thought of, baka naman pwede nating sundan na kamusta naman ang kabataang Pilipino. Anong meron? So that's our second episode for tonight. We'll be talking about ano bang meron at kamusta ang kabataang Pilipino. And I'm really excited kasi from last week's guests, guest, si Senator Bam Aquino, our co-founder, and my co-host would be Carl Espiritu from Bulacan. For tonight, I'll be hosting alone. So wala ngayon si Carl. Nakapahinga siya from a long work duty last week. But I'll be joined by three of my closest friends also from the TAYO alumni community. And why do I call them friends? Nagkakataon kasi na ang mga alumni representatives talaga namang nakikibonding at nagiging friends ng secretariat. I mean, from TAYO 1 to we're now at TAYO 17, talaga nagiging friends ng secretariat ang bawat alumni representative. At nakakatuwa kasi if you would look at the comment section of the previous episode, even this episode, you'll see representatives commenting, "Hi ate, hi kuya," saying hi to their secretariat, which is nice. So tonight, I invited with me 3 alumni representatives. 2 of them are from Mindanao, 1 of them from Iloilo City. So, and of course, we'll be joined by the only mother we have in the office, our TAYO Foundation President, former Commissioner Perci Cendana. But before that, papakilala ko muna siguro sa inyo yung 3 friends ko. The first one, he's from Iloilo City, from Team Dugong Bughaw, at isa pong masipag na med school student, si Vijar. Hi, Jap!
Here, medyo alanganin dun sa masipag, pero tatanggapin ko na.
Tanggap mo na. Hindi, ano yan, I'm directing that energy na magsipag ka.
Oo, baka
for
naman
med
ma-adapt natin,
school.
no? Kahit lang naman nasabihin na lang. Kumbaga,
Oo,
reinforcement.
diba? Yes, hanggang intro. Sige,
Hi everyone, good evening.
I'll introduce our second guest. She's one of our most recent alumni. So, there are one of our, if I'm not mistaken, one of our TAYO winners for TAYO 17. Sobrang saludo. Saludo kami dito sa grupo nila, lalo-lalo na sa babaeng ito, si Jai from Lanao del Sur. Hi, Jai! Hopefully, okay na yung internet mo. Maulan din kasi sa Lanao ngayon. Hi, Jai! Can we check kung kumusta ang internet mo? Pwede ka ba mag-hi? Pag wala, Jai could still join us in the comment section, and we'll reschedule another interview with her, another chat with her. Our third guest is from Cagayan de Oro City. Probably nakita nyo na yung mga TikTok videos niya either on Twitter or on Facebook. I'm not sure. But he's a really good friend. From TAYO 16, the co-founder and the executive director of Association of Young Environmental Journalists, Vestil. Hey, Val!
Hello. Magandang gabi. Natuwa ako sa intro mong TikTok. Dapat di na yun na-mention. Diyos ko po.
Mamaya na lang siguro papasample kami ng TikTok video.
Ay, hello. Good evening. Thanks for having us, Patma.
Of course. Let's, sige, I think Jai is having a bit of technical difficulty. But, ito na. feeling ko, parang magkausap kami ni Jap earlier, backstage. So, StreamYard has a backstage format. Nag-uusap kami, wait, kasama natin si Perci. Ano ba itatawag natin sa kanya? Mother ba? Perci. But, as much as naguguluhan din kami kung ano gusto naming itawag sa kanya, she is both a very well-known commissioner of the National Youth Commission before, so hindi na po siya incumbent ngayon, but still and always will be our mother in the TAYO Awards Foundation, Commissioner Percival Cendana. Percy! Maganda pong gabi!
Good evening, everyone. Magandang gabi, Jap, magandang gabi, Val. Si Jap pala, ano din yan?
Hi!
Beauty King din yan. Kasi ano yan, nanalo yan ng title sa school nila, Mr. Ano panalunan mo?
Mr. CPU Com.
Mr. CPU representing the College of Medicine. Tapos si Val naman, magaling siyang mag-tie, no? So mamaya papakinggan natin yung kanyang mga tie
Yes.
pick-up lines. So, ayan.
Sikat yan eh. Sikat yan sa TikTok eh. Tsaka sa Twitter.
Oo,
eh.
Oo.
Right?
Si
But-
Jai, hopefully si Jai we can join us later, no? Para makachikahan natin siya. Good evening po,
Yes.
magandang gabi sa inyong lahat.
Good evening, Kong. Nice to see you again, kahit virtually.
Yes.
Hi,
Medyo-
Percy.
Gusto ko pala kayong kumustahin kasi parang even si Percy, kahit pa nasa Quezon City lang si parang the last time that I met him was huli kong bisita sa sa opisina nila. But even for you guys na Jap and also Val, pareho kasi din kayong bibo in your activities in the org, or even in med school or at work. Parang how was it like now during the quarantine na alam mo yun, kailangang nasa bahay tayo?
Val, magsimula ka, Val?
Gusto niyo bang magsimula ng sad news or sadness? Kasi to answer your question, Patma at Patricia and Trish, mahirap. Lots of our activities for the organization were canceled or indefinitely postponed because of COVID. So, it has, kung ang question ay kamusta, not doing so well po. Pero we adapt and we cope. Pero yeah, it has hit us very hard, this whole pandemic.
Yeah, as
So,
for
Jap-
us naman, since we're representing Team Dugong-Bugaw, I must agree with Val. No? Nahirapan talaga yung mga orgs ngayon. Especially everything has been put to halt, no? So, wala talaga. So, since we have to keep forward, it's really mostly online now. We transferred from physical to virtual. Especially we have new members coming in since it's our 5th year din sa Dugong-Bugaw. So we just had our 25 new members oriented and had them undergone HME 101. So, iba talaga yung physical talaga na interaction. Nakakamiss yung nakaka-elicit ka ng energy, ng thoughts from the audience. But online, everything is just different. Pero, yun nga, I agree with Val. Lahat talaga iba this time. It's harder, maghirap. To tell you the truth, ang daming projects na stop. But we have to move forward. As for school naman, well, kami sa med school, ano naman siya, online platform. Stress din. Lahat na lang stress. Honestly, kung real talk lang talaga, dito na, konting-konti na lang yung pasensya, pero we have to move forward.
Parang same ba sa inyo, Kamusta po kayo?
Siguro parang when you say stressful, it's an understatement for all of us. Kasi I can imagine, especially for the younger people in this chat room, in this room now, ang hirap na confine ka dun sa spasyo na maliit na either bahay man yan or kung nakakalabas ka na yung opisina na meron ka without interacting with other people. Siguro para sa mga batang leader na tulad ng mga kasama natin dito, challenging, no? Yung being confined in a space. Tas, especially for us old souls, ay aminin na matanda na, medyo bago sa amin yung teknolohiya. Tapos yung tama din yung nabanggit nyo kanina, nakakamiss yung immediate reaction, nakita mo yung facial expressions, nararamdaman mo yung energy nila kasi it drives you eh. More than the stress, I think it's also a period of adjustment. And for us old souls, it's also a period of unlearning and learning new things. So for example, for most of you, you're digital natives, caring nyo to. Kami, we're still adjusting. And for those of us na sanay sa offline life, ngayon na-appreciate namin yung demands at yung rigors and stresses din pala ng online life.
True. Parang same for me na especially sa office, like you know guys that in the TAYO Awards office, parang we thrive in meeting face to face. Na
Correct.
kahit ano lang yan, short catch up with
Yes.
alumni, bibisita sa Iloilo, pupunta ng CDO to check sa schools or even sa SK offices, youth development offices. Or even speaking engagements. Sobrang gets ko yung, ba't parang hindi ata benta yung joke ko? Pero,
Yeah.
sa totoo lang kasi hindi mo naririnig yung audience. You don't feel the presence of
Exactly.
sharing the space with who you're talking to. Tapos, ngayon, ang kaharap natin, screen. Ngayon, may pa-ring light nga po pala ako dito on the side. Kailangan ng green screen and etc. So, it's a big adjustment for everyone.
Pero nararamdaman niyo ba, parang it's more, at least in my experience, it's more exhausting for me to do online speaking engagement than offline.
Oh,
Mas
definitely.
napapagod ako pag, I don't know why, pero nakakapagod yung online.
True.
Yeah, as Job said kanina, for us public speakers or kung may talk, diba, we get our energy from the crowd, no? And to not
Yes.
get that immediate response from whoever you're talking to, it feels so far away. No, I mean, like we're divided via cities and distance. Pero right now, it's even stretched out even further. Although your reach is very far and wide, pero the human connection is just so like blurred, and it makes it so difficult to respond and to talk with so much gusto. Yeah.
Nakakatawa kasi kayong tatlo, sobrang like you host events. You moderate conversations offline. Like, 'di ba, you get invited in events to even moderate panels. So even to hear your side na nahihirapan kayo, parang paano pa po kami mga normal people lang? Kidding.
Well, kasi naman, naisip ko, kasi yung kami kasi as hosts, parang we're used to stretching, just talk more and just, what comes. But kasi pag online, parang you catch yourself na parang, wait, I think I've been talking for a long time na and I don't get anything in return. Parang you get to be very conscious kung ano na bang nasabi mo. Unlike sa physical setup, na parang you see your audience getting pumped up. So parang, sige, gusto pala nila. Sige, kaya pa to.
True.
Kaya pa to. But
Yes.
ngayon, you have to really communicate na, guys, are you still there? Guys, do you still want to continue? Kasi talagang hindi mo alam, baka nag-almusal na pala yun or nag-CR break. Hindi natin alam. So, ang daming struggles and barriers. Pero, G lang. That's why we're here. We're sharing this para naman ma-feel ko yung feels ng iba dyan.
Actually, if you missed last week's episode, there was even a moment where lahat kaming tatlo, si Senator Bam, si Carl, at ako, ay naghintayan sa isa't isa. Hindi namin alam na hindi kami nagkaharinigan.
Oh my
Si Senator Bam, sabi niya lang, guys, nasa na kayo? And we were so, like, well, at least our platform is really just chill lang naman tayo nagkukwentuhan for tonight. To jump
This virtual facilitation thing is a whole new skill. Facilitation offline is one thing to learn, but virtual facilitation, oh my God, it's another story.
Yes. Parang kailangan na ata siya ng certification, no? But to jump off our kumustahan for tonight, medyo naging strategic kami on inviting the alumni. Guys, madami kayo. Imagine, for 17 years, we collect 20 organizations every year. And as much as we want you in one space, sobrang nakakamiss kasi talaga na makausap kayo at makita kayo, makipagkwentuhan at makipag-asaran. We were strategic for those who are joining us online. We're strategic on who to invite this at this time because not only are they the most recent, siguro si Jap na yung mas matanda on that spectrum of alumni joining the search, who joined the search. But also because these two alumni, medyo matingkad, kumbaga, yung advokasya nila sa panahon ngayon.
Matangkad? Ano
Even
yun?
matingkad, bes,
Okay.
matingkad. Yes.
Kasi
So,
Matingkad.
walang tangkad-tangkad dito. Oo.
si Jap lang siguro.
Sigap lang. Sigap lang.
Sige,
Sigap lang.
ano na?
Parang,
Sakay na kayo.
diba? Parang, Jap, or if you're not familiar with Team Dugong Bughaw, maybe Jap could shortly introduce what they do, and even Val, can you later, if you could shortly introduce what you do with IEDGE. But my question, ito na, mga Mr. TAYO Search Alumni 2020.
2020. Yeah.
22.
So, kamusta po ang for you, Jack? Kamusta ang pagiging estudyante sa panahon ngayon na you don't even meet your professors face to face? May 24/7 mong kaharap yung readings mo. Na alam mo yon, you're stuck in one place. Parang how was that for you?
Actually nakakabalik ng mga sad emotions yung tanong na yan. Kasi parang when the quarantine started, we still had to take our midterms exam. So hindi pa talaga yung final kasi may final exams pa, and most of the subjects are cover to cover. So the books are these thick, and I think sa mga audience natin dyan nanonood, I know most of you are students and student leaders. In any field, merong talagang readings, marami yan. So, the struggle of learning everything by yourself. Yes, meron kaming provided na mga PowerPoint presentations, may mga handouts, but at the end of the day, you have to supplement yourself with a lot of things. Di lang sa books, you could go to YouTube, watch videos, research journals about the recent mga updates, especially sa COVID, no? Like for one, just so you know, meron tayong mga surgery procedures na hinalt because of the pandemic. So mga ganyang bagay na kailangan nating i-look into. So it was really hard for me as a student. Well, I'm always very vocal. Si Val kasi alam ko top student yan eh. He graduated, with a magna cum laude. So as an average student like me, it was really a struggle to keep up. And at the side, you're a youth volunteer for an organization, and student council pa sa kabila. So parang you want to show also na you want to show na you are still keep going. I mean, kahit mahirap, kahit alam mong ubos na ubos ka na, but you have to show to your peers and your classmates that however this will turn out, kailan man tayo matatapos, hindi man magka-physical exam, we have to move forward because it is the way that it should be. Pero yun lang, we wish na the doctors are also safe kasi yung mga teachers din namin, they're frontliners. Like we have one sa our pathology head, kumbaga siya yung nagmaman talaga sa Western Visayas Medical Center. Yun talaga yung COVID na linalagyan ng mga COVID patients, tsaka doon din na-run yung mga tests. So parang as much as you want to have accountabilities na, doc, can we have a lecture, or doc, can we get this or that? Parang inisip na lang namin na each one of us, we have our own battles, na we have to give space for each other as much as we value education. We want to be doctors, not just online doctors, but doctors who are equipped through books and readings. Mas importante ngayon yung buhay, which is basically what we're aiming for in the future. We're bound to save lives. So parang if we just become selfish na, ay, what about us? Estudyante kami, we paid for tuition fee, etc., etc. I think that's counterproductive. So as much as marami din kaming needs, kumaga, makiramdaman na lang talaga. Kasi hindi natin alam how everyone else is struggling, especially our doctors. So yun, it's hard, Pat. In a nutshell, it's really hard. Pero yun nga, read on your own. Wala tayong choice. But that's how we went through it. So ngayon, tapos yung SEM ko, we're still waiting for updates if mag-move up na tayo, hopefully, para naman hindi tayo mahuli. But yeah, we're waiting for results. Yun lang at my end.
Hopefully, Jap, you move up academically. Yes.
Oo.
Ikaw, Val. Sorry, Jap. Ikaw,
It's okay. Go, Val.
Parang, kamusta ang pagiging manunulat at the season of anti-terror law and everything?
Yeah, it's a very dangerous time to become a writer and journalist. In fact, a lot of our friends in the media have lost their jobs because this government took away that availability of media work in the form of ABS-CBN shutdown. And then we see here dissenters. We see here government critics through the medium of journalism being silenced and shut down. So it's very tough. I'm not a journalist out there in the field currently. I'm an environmental journalist educator. I'm just an educator. And I feel so sad about all these things that are happening to our fellow writers. What more for those journalists who are really in the field? So, kamusta ang mga manunulat? They are in the lowest moments right now, especially those working in the media, for mainstream media. Sobrang hirap po maging manunulat ngayon. So, in summary, that's it. It's so hard to be a writer right now because it seems as if we're just doing our jobs as writers. We're just doing our jobs as journalists the best way we can. And there's so much opposition to the work that we do. Work that is just really for society, for the fellow Filipinos. So mahirap. That's for a journalist. Sa mga environmental journalists naman, or sa mga young writers naman, we are really shifting our priority to pursuing stories that cover coronavirus, the impacts of coronavirus, the impacts of COVID to the environment. So, in terms of journalism in the Philippines, we are all in danger, basically. In terms of environmental journalists in general, we're kind of having to shift our priority from just environment to see the intersectionalities of environment and public health or pandemic.
Thanks, Val. Alam mo yung nakakabigat ng puso to hear that. Siguro, medyo feeling ko bibigat pa ng konti. Kayo po, kamusta po pagiging human rights advocate at
Sige.
this time?
Oo, pabigatin pa natin, ano?
Yeah.
Gusto mo
Wait na.
tissue, Com?
Oo, pabigatin na natin. Ayan, oo. Na isang araw, pinapanood ko yung one of the short films of, hindi naman siya short film, actually, siguro parang relatively short because it runs for about 20 minutes, yung pelikula ni Mike De Leon, ang title niya, Aliwan Paradise. It was filmed early 90s. Medyo visionary sa Mike De Leon, yung director ng, mas kilala siguro ng kabataan ngayon, ng Citizen Jake. Sa pelikula na yon, parang tinignan niya yung post-apocalyptic Philippines. Parang, ano na tayo, sobrang hirap ng buhay. Tapos yung mga tao, they have to go through a reality show to find a job. So yung isang gag doon, parang may isang teacher may isang dating human rights commissioner. Sabihin, commissioner dati na commissioner ng human rights na ang nag-a-apply siya bilang teacher. Tapos tinanong siya ng panel of judges kung what makes you different as a teacher. So sabing gano'n ni former CHR commissioner who's now applying for a position as public school teacher kasi nga sabing gano'n parang wala na talaga yung human rights doon sa post-apocalyptic future na yun. Sabi niya, kaya ko po magturo ng kasabay ng pagkain ng bubog, pagtawid sa alambre. So nakakatawa dahil parang nagtuturo siya ng subtraction, tapos yun nga, parang 3 bote, minus 1 bote, ano mangyayari? So, isang bote kinain niya, nagtuturo siya habang tumutulo yung dugo sa kanyang bibig. Sorry, walang trigger warning. But if you watch it, it's quite hilarious. Pero, if you reflect about it, parang yun yung nabanggit ka na ni Val, ano yung cost of telling the truth yun? Pwede kasi yun nga, parang yung teacher na yun nagtuturo ng subtraction, while she's expressing the truth, may tumutulong dugo sa bibig niya. So, if you have time, catch Mike De Leon's Aliwan Paradise. It's streaming now, the digital version online. And it also shows us yung real struggles ngayong panahon na ito. Natutuwa ako kasi parang itong dalawa nating panelists ngayon, pareho na may diin sa karapatan. Halimbawa, sila Jack, malaki yung diin nila sa karapatan para sa kalusugan, para sa dugong bughaw. I don't know kung natatandaan ni Jap, the first time I encountered him and his organization was when I had a stroke in Iloilo. So, 2016, na-stroke ako sa Iloilo, so I had to stay there for 3 months. And then I think on my last month sa Iloilo, I attended a meeting, tapos in-accost nila ako doon for an interview. So, ang saya, di ba? Kaka-stroke mo, tapos ini-interview ka for an HIV project.
I love you, Compol. Thank you for doing that for us.
Oo, ayan. So, laglagan na to. Tapos, natutuwa din ako kasi yung kay Val naman, who speaks very fluent Thai, ha, by the way. So, mga kalaki sample siya. Malaki yung DN for freedom of expression. At pareho itong threatened at this point in time, di ba? Malaki yung threat sa health, kahit nga at yung talent doon sa freedom of expression, access to information. Halimbawa sa ngayon, I can imagine sa mga writers tulad nila, Val, ang malaking struggle is against fake news. We cannot even get our facts and figures right, and yet we are expected to just keep quiet. So, kaya siguro ang laki talaga noong papel na gagampanan ng mga kabataan na tulad ni Jap at saka tulad ni Val sa panahong ito. So, I'm very happy that we have them in this panel today. Para sagutin niyo ang tanong kung kumusta. When I say tough, I think I'm being diplomatic. Sobrang hirap, no? Kasi halimbawa, lalo na para marami sa atin, yung forms na alam natin ay yung forms na pwede mong gawin na walang pandemya. And yun, hindi pa sigurado magtatagumpay kaya yung mga forms na yun, di ba? That you can get the message across. Pero yun nga, tingin ko parang yung malalaking shifts in society, it gives birth to new ways of doing things. And at the same time, these big shifts are also great training grounds for new leaders. So that's why our generation, the old souls, are looking to your generation, kayo Trisha, kayo Val, kayo Jap, on how to not just rise up to the occasion, but to show us new ways of doing things. So napakahalaga talaga ng innovation, especially in the field of advocacy now.
Yeah.
How do we innovate? How do we reach out to more people? How do we combat fake news? How do we encourage people to speak up, even if they feel threatened, because we have to.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Parang on that note, parang at this time, well, it's been, nag-start yung quarantine natin end of March.
Yes.
So, April, May, June, July. So, somehow, March, April, May, June, July. We're on our 4th month of quarantine. And, you know, mas babad tayo on social media. Like, aminado tayo na mas babad tayo on social media now. And, you know, yung mismong questions ni Com earlier na parang the older generation is looking at us or even to those who are much more younger than us, Jap and Val, for new ways on how to tackle issues. And nakakatuwa, actually, na ang daming naganap online, ang dami ring nagaganap offline na hindi mo aasahan. Or for me, sobrang nagugulat ako na hindi ko inaasahan na grabe yung creativity rin na naproproduce at this time of quarantine and at this time of pandemic. Even on social media campaigns, like, mag-stick ka lang on Twitter, everyone would see a lot of movements happening online.
Yes.
One of my favorites, Iha Ako movement. It started as a hashtag. And now it became bigger. And so, siguro, my next question, kumbaga, for everyone, for all of us, would be, bilang ganun na nga, bilang mahirap yung sitwasyon natin ngayon, parang, what is our call to action? As advocates for health, bilang, lalo na ikaw, med student ka, so you actually see your practice in action in the most difficult time possible. Na nakikita mo yung mga ate at kuya mo, probably napapagod na rin sila ngayon sa ospital, etc. Parang, what is our call for action to young people na pare-pareho tayong nahihirapan, but how do we get out of this tough, difficult, very kind ngayon, no? Parang bait natin to say na tough and difficult situation, but how do we get out from this? How do we start on inspiring others at this time? Sige, Jap.
Parang magandang task for now, But I have siguro alam ko marami tayong viewers right now, so I just want siguro to share a little situationer of what is happening in the hospital. So since the quarantine started, wala po tayong mga clerks or interns. They're basically residents manning the hospital. To make the long story short, we are undermanned sa ating mga hospital. Wala po tayong masyadong doktor. That's why it's so hard. So just to quote a friend of mine, no, na doctor, sabi niya, the best way you could help us is to reduce the inflow of patients in the hospital. So as much as possible, if you could follow protocols, if wala ka namang masyadong pupuntahan other than necessities such as, buying medicine or food, so be it. But then again, I also want to reiterate being vigilant and speaking up of all the injustices na nakikita natin. Because being a doctor is not just about running a patient sa chart, looking at the history, what in previous na mga laboratory. Medicine, or basically, having the aim to cure someone, there's a lot of factors. It's socio-economic factors. Kung sa public health pa, marami factors why a person is sick. So just to blame a person being sick because lumabas siya, or just because bubuta siya ng market, tsaka nakakuha siya ng COVID, I think that's unfair. Because in the first place, we have a bigger umbrella of people who could help us alleviate this. We have had a lot of opportunities for us to have preventive measures. What I'm trying to say is, my call to action to my fellow medical students or members of the youth who intend to still go on with their organizations and projects, stepping out of the box and think without limits. I just want you to see the real picture. If you feel that it doesn't directly affect you, look around and see the long-term effects of this. Baka sabihin mo, hindi naman ako small-time business. Hindi naman ako lumalabas ng bahay. Nag-Netflix lang ako. Sige, Facebook lang. No. There's a whole big world waiting for us outside. And if we do not see the injustices that we are actually experiencing right now, the more tayong malulupig, kumaga. Just look at your timelines on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. You would see people who did not speak out before speak now. I have had a lot of pro-government classmates who supported the administration now speaking up of the things they see unfit of how the health system has could manage all the pandemic. So I think it's not the high time for us to just be selfish. That's true. Compercy told us na ang hirap na nandito tayo sa loob ng isang room, naka-stagnant lang tayo. It's very draining. But beyond this, corners of the room, there's something happening out there, grave things happening. And if you do not get yourself involved in any way you think is possible, then wala. Tayo lang yung pagtutulungan. I think that's the very essence of tayo. Tayo, it's us. So if you remove yourself in that narrative, sino ka? What are your role in all this? So, and siguro, I think I'm coming from the health sector, and it's really hard for us because I'm just a student right now. My aim is to get out there, to be one of the frontliners, to help out. Ang bigat na wala kang magagawa. I have friends who are PGIs who want to volunteer in the hospitals, but they could not because of protocols. So, kumbaga, ang daming gustong gawin, pero hindi. So, the best way we could do now is just to open our eyes and not lie to ourselves. Yan na po, harap-harapan na po tayo. Honestly, I worked with DOH before. I've seen how data recording is. I've been in that job. And right now, I'm utterly disappointed of how things are, the reporting. The numbers don't match. I always say epidemiology, numbers never lie, but apparently it can. Congratulations, you made it happen. So parang it's so sad and it's so infuriating, but we could only do so much. I tell my org mates, we can only do so much. We do not have to beat ourselves. Yun yung gusto ko sabihin din. We don't have to beat ourselves for not doing so much because honestly, we're doing beyond what is expected of us, and that's not enough. It only shows that I think there's still a lot of work to do and we should not stop. So yun siguro. But, in the end of the day, I just want everyone to be safe. As a medical doctor, I want you to do things still with precaution, frequent hand washing, face mask, and make sure lang talaga that you nourish your body with immune system. Kasi we're still in the pandemic. We should not disregard the fact that we're still in the pandemic. So dami kong sinabi, galit talaga ako, but I just want to share this out because I think this is a great platform kasi ang dami nating advocacies, iba-iba tayong fields and sectors in the government and non-government organizations. So parang I think it's high time that we could be heard kahit na medical students pa lang kami, that we have a lot of feelings and aspirations, field aspirations up to this point na magdodoktor kami para sa bansang to na hindi lang naman kami tinitingnan. Recently, we had a news from DOH clamoring na wala kang nag-apply na doktor tsaka nurse. And honestly, I wanna ask, bakit kaya? I mean, bakit kaya? Ayaw mag-apply ng mga doktor. Ang dami. Another case on point, our DTPBs from Region 6 had a mandate to be sent to Cebu to be to be frontliners. In Cebu, I have a friend who told me na punong-puno na yung mga hospitals doon. Also, these people sign up to be doctors to the bar, which means their passion and their job description is also to cater the needs of the municipalities. Tapos itatapon doon. So this is just, I'm not speaking in behalf of my council or my school. This is just JAP speaking na I think we could reevaluate our steps because we are the top tier health department, DOH. And I think there's still so much work to be done and we're not doing it. So, I hope maayos yan kasi araw-araw na nasa-stress tayong lahat, no? Ang kumbaga, yung person na tinitingala mo all of a sudden is failing you every single day. So, who are we going to hold on to? So, going back, yun na lang siguro, my call to action is for us to keep opening our eyes because without that, hindi talaga natin ma-realize yung true purpose of what we're doing in advocacy in our profession. We're all gonna be, we all dream to work for this country, but right now it's really hard. So the best way for us is to feel the environment, to see, to look, to read, to study, so that when we go out there, when we can navigate with all the data that we've gathered. So yun lang po sa end ko. Pasensya na, maraming nasabi. Dami kong feelings ba, tsaka controversy, pasensya na.
It's okay. Thank you, Doc. So, I'm creating
napaka-intense
na-
ng feelings, no?
Doc.
Very intense feelings
Sorry,
and emotions. So, you cannot get more raw
Ngayon
than
talaga
that.
nilabas, ano?
Understandable. With everything that's happening, salamat at hindi ka sumisigaw at hindi ka galit na galit, nakukuha mo pang umiti.
Mabait
at
pa yun.
tumawa.
Mababait pa to,
Yes.
Pat. Okay pa to.
True. Ikaw, Val, like, especially, isa kang manunulat. More than just being a journalist. For me, journalists also are somehow historians. Since you write history on a daily basis, parang, what is your call to action at this moment for the likes of you, journalists, and even environmental journalists?
Yeah. Initial, there's so many reasons to be disappointed. Jap just gave one of many reasons. And to be honest, para sa isang manunulat, para sa isang youth advocate, quote unquote, para sa isang tao na nagmamanage ng team, ng non-profit, working on helping communities, saving lives, telling stories. To be honest, pagod na. Pagod na ako. Pagod na ako sa kakaisip sa lahat ng mga nangyayari around me. There is always that moment of me taking a step back and just being tired and honestly just telling myself I can't do this anymore. So my call to action really is more intrapersonal, no? Alam naman na galit tayong lahat eh. That's a given. We're all disappointed. We have all the good reasons to seek for accountability. And because the external world, the world outside of us is just so noisy and so crazy and so disappointing, we kind of get lost in that and forget to be at peace with ourselves. We forget to be at peace with our mental well-being, with our emotional well-being, even with our physical well-being. So my call to action is I don't know if it's counterintuitive to what advocacy is, but maybe not. But my call to action is to give yourself a break. we are really, we think we have so much time on our hands, right? We're just at home. We have we we own our time now that we're just at home. We're working from home, but we don't know how to draw the line in it. Everything that we read, everything that we see becomes so crazy, and we are so pressured to become relevant. We are so pressured to remain relevant in times of pandemic. We're so pressured to, okay, after this pandemic I'm gonna have a good body. After this pandemic I'm gonna have a better skill in cooking. After this pandemic I would have created a campaign that helped 700 communities in Luzon. After this, there's so much as youth advocates, and I'm sure most of our listeners here are TAYO alumni, are people who have worked endlessly and tirelessly for the community. It's so easy to get into the pressure of trying to be relevant. And I speak from when I say that, I speak from experience. There were a couple of months during the pandemic where I was like, oh my gosh, we need to do this. I need to do this. Failed projects, we need to compensate failed projects with more projects. But then I realized when I started looking in that the priority right now is not to become better. The priority right now is not to become wiser. It's not to become more beautiful. It's not to become more productive. I think the priority right now is to survive. Our priority as Filipinos is survival. And part of prioritizing survival is when we see injustice, when we see other people who are not given the option to survive, we need to speak for them. We need to speak with them. We need to let their voices be heard. And it's so disappointing that at the very crucial time when survival is a priority, when making sure our fellow Filipinos go out of this pandemic alive and well, there are so many restrictions. I don't mean safety protocols and restrictions. I mean like government systems that have taken away our inner freedoms, our inalienable rights to survive. We don't want to become the next president of the Philippines. We don't want to become the richest man on earth. We just want to survive this pandemic. So for
Mm.
all the youth leaders out there, for all of you who are advocates, it's good. This is a good time to look in, to introspect, to really think about what to do next, to think about where am I now, to think about is this the strategy that we should all employ. No, for all of you youth leaders right now, give yourself a break and survive. Kasi ito pa talaga yung priority right now.
Nakakatawa yung nabanggit ng dalawa nating youth leaders, Trisha, no? So, napakalinaw nung kanilang mensahe sa kanilang mga kapwa kabataan.
Totoo.
Isang napansin ko nitong pandemya, parang, di ba, even before this, to all the TAYO alumni here in this conversation, I would usually make mention of the privatization of human experience. Yung para bang, it's now between you and your gadgets and you're losing contact with the offline world. And the pandemic just did that. Diba? Parang mas na-privatize yung experience. So mas grabe yung emphasis on the individual kasi mag-isa ka. It's you and your gadget. It's a fight for survival. And for most of us, survival means individual survival. And thank you, Val, for emphasizing to us that even survival is a collective engagement. Diba? Hindi ka pa rin mag-survive kung yung buong community mo ay infected. Hindi ka pa rin mag-survive kung yung buong bayan mo ay infected kasi hindi in place ang protocols. Hindi mag-survive yung family mo kahit gaano kayo kahusay sa pag-practice ng protocols kung yung palengke kung saan ka bumibili ng pagkain ay mataas ang level of infection kasi hindi na ilagay in place ang protocols at ang safety checks. So, thank you for drawing attention to survival not just as an individual endeavor but survival as a collective endeavor. So, maraming salamat para doon. Tapos, natutuwa ako dun sa, I don't know how to say this, parang ang pangit pakinggan na sabihin ko na natutuwa ako sa galit ni Jap. Di ba? Parang ang pangit pakinggan when I say that. Ang pangit din pakinggan kapag sinabi ko na nakakataba ng puso yung galit ni Jap. No? Hindi rin maganda pakinggan. No? Yes, both of you, I recognize, I value the disappointment that you shared. Innovation, a lot of innovations have been powered by disappointment. And I hope that disappointment will power us through this pandemic. There are two tendencies. If you're disappointment, that could drive you to paralysis. or
Mhm.
it could be a cathartic experience.
Mhm.
And I know that for a lot of those in the older generation, ang tendency, kapag disappointed ka, ay bahala na. Bahala na kayo dyan, hindi na ako makikialam. But
Mhm.
for the younger generation, yung napapansin ko, yung disappointment has been a cathartic experience.
Mhm.
Whether that's picking up, finding the voice that you have, but you don't use before,
Mhm.
that's sharpening your analysis of the situation.
Mhm.
I'm very happy that you are channeling your disappointment towards that channel. Madalas, I can imagine, especially
I
for
know that for a lot.
students. Yes, sorry.
Sige lang ko.
You're,
May pumasok lang po atang audit.
okay. I can imagine for most young people in this room, in this conversation now, laging sinasabihan, di ba, even before the pandemic, sinasabihan ka na, huwag ka na lang makialam, tumahimik ka na lang, mag-aral ka na lang. Or, pagbuti mo na lang yung trabaho mo para yumaman ka. Pero with this pandemic, parang mas na-recognize ng marami na, ay, hindi pala sapat na wag makialam. Kasi pag di ako nakialam, mananatiling ganito yung sitwasyon. Pag di ako nakialam, pwedeng lumala yung pandemya. Pag di ako nakialam, hindi magkakaroon ng transparency in governance. Pag di ako nakialam, hindi aayos yung programa para sagutin yung mga problemang pang-araw-araw ng Pilipino. So, natutuwa ako sa conversation na ito kasi napag-uusapan natin yung mga bagay na tingin ko, kung pinag-usapan natin pre-pandemic, parang would not be as relevant now, would not easily cross or have traction like now. Halimbawa, yung mensahe natin kung bakit mahalaga magpasaway. Alam ko yung pasaway has been appropriated all throughout this pandemic as the source of the problem. Pero ngayon kasi, nakikita natin, when you say pasaway, ito yung mga tao na ayaw tanggapin na hanggang dito na lang, na walang mangyayari, na maghihintay na lang tayo ng bakuna. Diba? Na kung hanggat walang bakuna, wala tayong ibang gagawin. So, and I think here, more than ever, yung imagination of young people that, things could be better, we can improve the situation, mas kailangan sa ngayon. And if you look at the timelines now, if you look at the grand social narrative, the people who are asking for more from duty bearers, the people who are asking for more from those in positions of power, most of them are young people. And that is where the pasaway voice is being directed at, asking for more. Natutuwa ako kasi even the older generation are now echoing what the younger generation are saying, di ba? At the beginning of the pandemic, ang nag-ask for more kabataan, ngayon pati yung mga nakatatanda, sumasama na sa panawagan, you would hear older politicians echoing the call of young people, asking for more from our duty bearers. Kasi tingin nila kulang talaga. And siguro just the last point to, just at least at this point, summarize ng konti yung nabanggit na points ng ating dalawang TAYO alumni. Yung dulo, yung seeking accountability. Di ba sabi natin, yung technology, young people are digital natives. Siguro dun sa, if seeking accountability is a country, ang citizens niyan karamihan kabataan. And I'm very happy that young people are now using the platforms and the voice that they have to seek accountability. Kasi now more than ever with this pandemic, only with accountability, only with seeking accountability can we get through it. Thank you.
Parang, nabusog ako bigla. Parang, okay.
Uwian na ba?
Opo,
Bye po.
Wow.
Say thank you.
Thank you po. Corona na.
parang, isang malaking pabaon, yung nabanggit niyo ko, na parang bawat point na nabanggit niyo po, pwede na siyang, okay, topic na siya for next week. Isa siyang malaking pabaon. In some sense na hindi natin siya agarang nakikita. Kumbaga, hindi natin mabilis na napaprocess yung ganun. Na hindi lang naman si Jap pinakaranas ng stressed siya bilang estudyante, bilang in the future, magiging frontliner siya, and seeing the systems don't work. Si Val, na bilang manunulat, hindi lang din naman siya nakaka-experience na mental strain, mental health strain. And nakakatuwa po kasi pinaalala nyo na parang this is the high time ng kabataan ang panahon ngayon na kahit pa nakaka-stress, totoo, ang hirap mabuhay sa panahon ngayon. Pero nakakatuwa ring mabuhay sa panahon ngayon. I'd go to that point na you see innovation, you see, alam ko, gasgas na yung word, gasgas na yung resilience na word. Pero there still is resilience among Filipinos. You don't see them hopeless. You don't see them giving up. You don't see us giving up. And so, it's nice to be reminded na okay din pala maging pasaway. Okay lang din pala na yung usual na label sa kabataan na hindi sumusunod. It could be turned to something inspiring. It could be turned to something totally pasaway man, may kwenta. Parang ganun. And
Actually, Trisha,
yes,
sorry.
po.
May question
Sige po.
sana ako sa inyo, doon sa inyong mga bagets in this conversation. Kasi di ba parang yung disappointment, yung resignation, madali para sa matatanda. Kasi nga parang been through a lot in life. So talagang suko mo na lang, weather it, tapos wag ka na makialam. Kayo, for your generation, where do you draw the inspiration, the hope to, to still get involved, na makialam, na magpasaway, to imagine that things could be better? Saan yung hinuhugot? Baka kasi makatulong doon sa mga Thundercats eh.
Ayun, sa point ko naman siguro sa compers, parang I always tell this to my peers na it will be our time. In 5 to 10 years, we will be the leaders of corporation, of these positions that we look up to. So we have to hold on and to, kumbaga, benchmark what are the good stuff and call out the bad ones so that we could fix it when it's our time. Kasi when you call something a system, ang hirap siyang ibaguhin from the outside. So parang I look into it as infiltrating from the inside. That's why even right now, kahit na ganito yung mga sentiments sa aming kabataan, I really find time to share this with my family, with my mom and my dad, and sa mga kapatid ko na very much older than generations and generations. Just to make them feel na your decision, let's say, that vote you're making in the future, is not just for yourself, but for us, na ititira ninyo. So when you you make a decision, when you put out there your sentiments about what is happening in the world right now, think that it is not just for you, but for us, the younger ones. And soon enough, we will be there. So siguro yun yung what I'm holding on to, Perci, that my inspiration comes from, okay lang, this is just a bad weather. We will get there and we could make things better when it's our time. So, kasi ganyan kami sa field of medicine din kasi, Perci, alam mo naman yan when it comes to our field. Pag estudyante ka pa lang, you are, ikaw lahat gagawa ng mga bagay as you move up the rank. So parang, sunod ka, you're a yes man. But then again, along the way, you correct to yourself na, ay, hindi ko gagawin yan pag ako na. Ay, hindi ko aabusuhin yung ganito. Ay, hindi ko puro lang tapon. I need to give these children nourishment for their brain to get learning. So, yun. So I think that's what the older generation lacked lang siguro, is to remember that everything that we do in this world is not just for us, but for other people, most especially to the ones who will be left when we are all gone. Kasi it's about sustainability. Sustainability doesn't end with us. It has to be followed through by someone else. Kahit kami sa mga organizations namin, it's not gonna be us forever. That's why we train young individuals like us. So that's why parang we don't stop until we see the replication of ourselves as founders or co-founders, because ang hirap na hindi siya ma-follow through. So I think yun lang naman yung saan ako humuhugot, because I know our time will come and hopefully, and I'm seeing it will come soon. So yun po, Perci.
Thanks, Chap. Sorry, Val. Ikaw. Trisha, wala kang taka, sasagot ka rin last.
Oo. Very brief lang. I resonate with Jap as well. Pero I think where I'm getting the hugot, saan ko hinuhugot yung want to do something, want to actually speak out when I need to. I think it comes from from the fact that I enjoy these privileges so much right now that I want my children and I want my children's children people to enjoy that same privilege. Oh, I understand that we should really dismantle privilege and that privilege, all that stuff. But the things that I can do now, the things that I am experiencing now, even as simple as breathing the air that I currently breathe and swimming in the clean oceans that I currently am enjoying for free, writing to be heard. These are the things that I enjoy without 10 pesos, without a centavo wasted. And I want my children and my children's children to be able to experience and to enjoy that same opportunity. See, because privilege, we sometimes think that privilege is just an expensive car, a big house, lots of money. Privilege is actually access to opportunity. Privilege is access to options. And just to think about having my kids not have the option to write freely, having my kids thinking about having my kids not have the option to swim in the ocean because it's full of plastic. By 2050, there will be more plastic than fish in the ocean. So hello, plastic fillet. Goodbye, fish fillet. No, just to think about the future, just to be really going there and think about how I'm removing options for my kids. It's a bit selfish, but at the end of the day, we go back to that. What motivates us, or what causes for us to digress in our motivation? It's that. It's I want to provide the same opportunities. I want to provide the same access of options to the kids, and not only my kids, but to kids of everyone I know, even Patma's kids or Japs or you know. So yun po.
Salamat, Val. Trisha, sorry. I'll put you on the spot.
Okay lang po. Sa akin, kumukuha ako ng hugot kasi totoo yung sinabi nung una ni Val na nakakapagod mag-isip ng solusyon, nakakapagod maghanap ng ano pang gagawin. Kumukuha ako ng hugot pag pumupunta na ako sa point na yon na I feel like this is the end of my stick. Parang parang isa pang suntok, okay na, bye-bye, tutulog na lang ako, hindi ko na kayo papansinin, wala na akong pakialam. Kukuha ko ng hugot, magre-refresh ako. And I'm glad for this. Through the friends that I have. Through the community that I have. Nakakatuwa rin kasi. At siguro yun, isa rin siyang privilege ko na yung mga kaibigan ko, yung mga tao nakakausap ko, grabe rin naman talaga ang pag-asa para mas mapabuti. Kahit nga hindi pa buong bayan eh. Minsan kasi parang ang cheesy na parang a better Philippines, nation building, an inclusive Philippines. Minsan parang masyado siyang cheesy amongst friends pag naririnig mo. Pero meron akong mga kaibigan, ayan, sila Jap, sila Val, even sa secretariat, na gagawa ng paraan para lang mapabuti, sabihin natin, barangay nila. Or si Tobit po ay kapitbahay namin dito sa Taytay. Makikita ko yung post niya, syempre may inaasam tayo para sa mas maraming Pilipino sa buong bayan. Pero kasi kung yun din agad yung iisipin natin, minsan nakakapagod, minsan nakaka-overwhelm. So, karamihan sa mga kaibigan ko, uunahin nila paano ko mapapabuti yung kondisyon namin dito sa barangay namin. Ano kaya yung magagawa ko kahit pa wala akong posisyon sa politika? Ano kaya magagawa ko online para naman makatulong ako na mas mapababa yung kaso ng COVID dito sa Taytay, Rizal? Gawa kaya ako ng SOCMED card. Na doon ako kumukuha ng hugot na parang sila, kahit sobrang simpleng programa o proyekto, kahit hindi gagastosan ng pera, gagastosan lang ng lakas ng loob, kapal ng muka, tsaka konting Facebook, Instagram, gagawa ng TikTok, hi Val. Kumbaga, ganong konting puhunan, kung kaya nila gawin yun, nakakahiya naman para sa akin na kahit konti, mag-effort din ako na kahit wala akong gawin, kumbaga maniwala lang, umasa kumbaga, na may mas maganda pang mangyayari. Siguro ganun ako, Kom. Ang kukuha kung saan ako kumukuha ng hugot, sa kapwa ko. Nakakatuwa kasi sila rin, hindi rin sila nagsasawa.
Maraming salamat sa inyo. Siguro parang especially our generation, we need to be reminded of that. And I think that's a very important reminder also to your peers from your generation. Kasi nga, ang daling ma-frustrate, ma-disappoint sa panahong ito. And sometimes, yung danger of that kind of disappointment paralysis. And I'm very happy that those are very practical handles na pwedeng panghawakan ng kabataang Pilipino. Thank you for sharing with us kung ano yung anchors ninyo at this point in time.
Siguro, before I'm trying to check on our comments. If you have questions, we're giving you a few minutes to send us your questions. Siguro may last question or may last activity. Kung meron pong Facebook React ang buhay ng kabataang Pilipino in the next 3 months, what do you hope? Ano yung gusto nyo sanang maging Facebook React ng kabataang Pilipino in the near future? So 3 months to 5 months. Ano yung sanang, kasi most probably naka-sad react yan ngayon or angry react coming from Val and coming from Jack. Bilang, let's end on a hopeful note na in the next few months, seeing how young people respond to what's happening now. What's our hope? What's our hopeful Facebook react in the next few months?
Feeling ko nakatawa kami ni Nava at ni Perci kasi sa briefer nakalagay dapat honest eh. Kaya lang sinabi mo na na may angry.
And with a hopeful note eh.
Oo. Hopeful ba, Val? Sige, Val, go.
I want to end with a proactive, hopeful note, no? And if you're asking about a Facebook reaction, I want an angry Facebook reaction. And I don't want the thing about us is as youth leaders and advocates and citizens, we don't stop at angry. Okay? We don't stop at angry. We do something about the anger. And that's what distinguishes us, hopelessness and hopefulness eh. When you turn that anger into negativity, when you turn that anger into, kasabi ni Perci kanina, when you turn that anger into like wala kang gagawin kasi na-paralyze ka, okay? That's what separates us eh. We need to turn and we need to channel our anger into something productive, into something proactive. And it's not a question of can we do it, because we can do it. We definitely can. We have so much energy. We have so much oh my gosh, we have like all of that at the tip of our fingers, But it's now a question of will we? We are angry right now. We are disappointed right now. What will ultimately judge us is what we do with that disappointment, what we do with that anger. It's good that you're angry. It's good that you're disappointed. Now, use that angry energy, channel that anger into something that's productive, into something that's helpful, into something that will help your fellow community, fellow Filipinos and community survive this pandemic. So that's my Facebook reaction. And it's okay because anger does not always have to be negative. Diba?
True.
Anger you really can turn that into fuel, to fuel your fire, to fuel your passion. Sabi nga ni Perci kanina, some of the greatest inventions, greatest innovations, greatest initiatives came from a pain point, came from a place of pain, of anger, of frustration. And if we wield that power of anger well, my gosh, we might be the next president of the Philippines. Charot!
True.
Sana
Wait lang,
soon.
commercial. Naalala ko yung presentation ni Val nung national judging.
Ganun ba sa attack na attack?
Ang pitch niya ay heartbreak.
Ganun.
So, like, wow.
Naalala ko.
Diba? Parallel, Val. Same.
Naalala ko si Com Percy, sabi ni Com Percy, Val, you're making my job very difficult. Com Percy.
Di ba? How can you not buy heartbreak, di ba?
Yun na nga. Yung sinasabi ko parate, you need to transform your heartbreak into social good.
True.
Oo.
Wow, that's nice. Sige,
So,
Jap. Ikaw.
feeling ko lahat
Ay,
na ng
sige
mga
pa.
entries ngayon, heartbreak ang take-off point. Sorry,
True,
Jap.
feeling ko.
Baka pinublish nyo ba yun, Pat? So dapat kung na-publish yun ng TAYO Awards yung pitching, next time marami na tayong heartbroken na
Oo,
pitch.
makakakuha ng pitching ideas. How to
Maganda
start
nga.
a conversation.
Okay,
Sige,
so
Jack.
to follow through with. Honestly, I have the same answer, no. But syempre para naman to those who aren't, let's say, the angry emoji ng Facebook, I would want the angry emoji also to be channeled to the care emoji. Andiyan pa ba yun yung care? Yung kaganyan.
Diyan pa,
Yeah,
diyan
meron
pa.
pa.
Because I think maganda yun. As in like ngayon yun yung go-to emoji every time may post, negative one or positive. Kasi parang at this point of the pandemic, we're all tawag dito, yung burnout na tayo. We're inside our homes, wala na tayong ginagawa as much as possible. We try to live daily as if like not knowing what will be the bad news the next day. So siguro from someone who is from the health sector, I just want you first to take care of yourself, not just physically, mentally. You nourish yourself with that anger could just go for so long. Taming sinasabi ni Val, we have to channel it into something else na maging productive siya. Like inside of your homes, I know that it's not you that's just troubled. You have your other family members. Yeah, maybe you have a mother who just lost her job, or a father who consistently goes to work even if there are a lot of risks, or siblings who could not go home because there are no flights. So while you take care of yourself, take care of the people around you, and always remember that you don't have to be a hero to save everyone. Just by taking care of yourself to start with is a good step for you to take care of others. Because sabi nga nila, di ba, you could not give what you don't have. So, paano ka mag-aalaga ng ibang tao kung sarili mo hindi mo kailangan tingnan? So, at this pandemic, ang dami ng nating nakikitang negativity. We could start siguro from the news down to the laws that are being passed that we're not all happy about. But then again, we should think of the long term place of the country. Kumbaga, this is it now. What will be in the future? So let that anger stay with you, but don't let it eat you. Don't let it consume you, because when it does, you could not make a solution. I agree. All of the community projects siguro natin na mga tao dito finalists, it came from sadness and anger that we see in our community, that we decided that it's now time to take a step. So I will not take it away from the people. No, I agree with Val. We could not take the angry and sad reacts from the Filipino youth, because that's the reality. But since we are now in a conversation na gusto nating enlighten, because we're resilient Filipinos and innovative, we have to make them think that may iba pang paraan para makakuha tayo ng solusyon at it doesn't end with anger. So yun naman yung sa akin. So care of yourself and your loved ones. Love yourself.
Unahan ka na si Com. Com,
Sige,
unahan
sige.
mo
Yeah.
kayo.
Sure. Go,
Sa akin po.
Trisha.
Sa akin pa, wow. Yung like, wow. Yan, yung react na ano. Kasi, sana magkaroon ng plot twist.
Sana?
Like, sana talaga.
Gusto ko yan. Gusto ko yan.
That's it. That's everything from me. Sana may plot twist. Yeah, like,
Nainiisip ako
wow.
para ako sabihin.
Okay na po. Ako doon, Com. Okay.
Oo. Ano yun, siguro parang, I will follow the lead of our executive director of TAYO. Ayun, wow din ako. It's the wow react. Naalala ko, di ba, every time meron tayong session with our finalists or would-be applicants or entry filers, we always remind them to start with the problem, and then from the problem, try to identify solutions. And through anger, disappointment, sadness, these are the fuels that eventually led you to accepting the challenge to respond to a problem and eventually finding a solution. I'm also looking forward to WOW, and not just expecting WOW, but looking forward to WOW. Kasi a few months from now, we're going to actually a few weeks from now, we're going to see the entries to Tayo 18, the debut year of Tayo. And I'm expecting to be wowed again, just like my experience every year. Just when you thought that you've seen and heard everything, that you've seen and heard of youthful strategies on how to address issues, concerns, and problems, I'm always wowed every year by the creativity and the challenge and the innovation. Um, in very bleak and desperate times, parang darating yung panahon na, ay siguro hindi na ako mapapawaw, na hindi na ako makakakita ng things that would amaze me or give me a wonderful experience kasi nga sobrang bleak ng panahon na ito. And siguro sa panahon natin ngayon, we look up to your generation to provide us with those wow moments in the next few months, not just here in Tayo, but in every community that is going through so much pain and troubles. Even as a whole nation, we look up to the young people now to give those wow moments to a nation that is in need of hope. So I hope that the next 3 to 5 months will be wow moments for the Filipino youth. Kasi parang burnout na yung bayan mo, kailangan mo ng bago enerhiya, and yung energy na yun will come from those wow moments. I know it's a lot of expectations. We're putting so much responsibility on young people. Pero I know that you will rise up to these occasions, just like what you did in the past 17 years of Tayo. Please give us these wow moments. Your nation needs your wow moments now more than ever. Grabe yung pressure.
True. I want, it's a nice point to end. But I have a question from one of our viewers. Siguro we'll end at this point. This is Abby. So the question is, what can you say to the youth who might think hindi naman sila journalist or future doctor? What can you say to inspire them to continue speaking up for the less privileged?
Ayun. Sige, I'll start siguro. Hi Abby, good evening. And to everyone else who share the same question siguro na baka you say na, ay, I'm this, I'm lang. You're not a lang. In health per se, it's a multi-sectoral approach. It always is and will always be. Hindi natin iniisip na nagkasakit lang tayo because may bacteria or may virus. But we are sick because there are a lot of things na nagkakos niyan, like social economic and where you live, how you are governed in your barangay, how are you given the opportunities and different resources. So to your question, I think you have to first look, what is your part? What is your part in your community? Who are you in your community? Are you someone who is in the arts, or are you in the sciences? Look where you could put yourself into, because it doesn't need to be very big always, because as long as you play your part and you are part of this country, you have something to speak up for. Kasi at this time parang sinasabi natin na ay siguro hindi pa time kasi estudyante pa lang ako, or I'm just working, no, bababa pa rin sweldo ko, wala pa akong hindi pa ako mayaman, then siguro maybe I'll just do my part pag ako very successful na. No, getting there is hard because of the struggles that we are experiencing, because of the privileges that are not given to us and opportunities. So whoever you are out there, if you're afraid, don't get discouraged to speak up, because speaking up is knowing who you are and where you should be. Right mo yan. That's something that you should, because you're living in this country. We're voting for these people out there, and we have the right to demand. The mere fact that they call themselves public servants, they should serve us. So we should demand what we think is right, because we are in the grassroots. We see the problem. As long as we see a problem and you see it personally, you have that very voice in yourself to speak up. So I think it starts with just conversation. You don't have to put it out in social media. You can just start with your social friends. Maybe barkada na, ay guys, nakita niyo yung post na yon? Nako, nakaganito ganyan. It starts there with little conversation, and it will echo, and that passion and your anger, sabi nga ni Val kanina, that anger will fuel you up to do even more things, because you have a way to go and it doesn't end there. So yun, in a nutshell, just know that you are a citizen of this country and you have rights. You have the right to demand of your rights and opportunities. And I think all of us, whoever you are, bata, matanda, working, non-working, single or not, kaka-heartbreak lang, or may bago na naman, you have the right to speak up. And whoever, even the less privileged, you can speak up for them. So that's for me, Pat. Val?
Yeah, what can you say to the youth who think hindi naman sila journalist or future doctor? Friends, ladies and gentlemen and countrymen, this is me telling you that you do not need to be a journalist. You do not need to be a medical doctor. You do not need to be an executive director or founder. You do not need to be a commissioner. You do not need to be a president of the Philippines to be able to do what you need to do. All you need to be is to become Filipino. If you understand what it means to become Filipino, if you understand what it means to become really a citizen of this country, you will be able to speak for the underprivileged. You will be able to do something for your community. Ito mga titles, yes, they might put us somewhere in the social system, but they're not really the defining factor of what will enable you to do productive things or to do things that can help your community. Okay? It's all a matter of what you can do and what they cannot do. For the simple fact that you can check Facebook, for the simple fact that you can eat 3 times a day, for the simple fact that you can watch TV, for the simple fact that you can continue to watch ABS-CBN and other channels, and for the fact that they cannot do what you can on a daily basis. It's already something so important to take a look at. The cans and the cannots. If you understand that there is that status quo, if you have compassion within yourself to understand that what you can do, others cannot, then you would want to move. Get up and move. And love. Genuinely. That's it.
Si Mr. Heartache, si
Parang
Mr.
sobrang-
Heartbreak, meron pa love talaga.
True, true. Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Sige, ako po muna, Kom.
Ano
Feeling
yan?
ko pang Catriona Gray po ba yung statement? Winning statement lagi yung kay Kom.
Ano
Unahan ko
yun?
na po kayo. Pang winning statement po talaga yun sa inyo, Kom. So, uunahan ko na po kayo. Pang corona moment po. Yung inyo. Yung sa akin, siguro hindi na ako lalayo dun sa FB React na work towards that wow react. Work towards that plot twist. Na work towards creating that plot twist. Not even at the national level. Even just on conversations with your family or with your friends. Parang try to create that plot twist na share info drives about COVID-19, share news articles that you feel is relevant for your situation. Work on that plot twist na kahit on a personal plot twist man lang, makuha natin. Kumbaga, mailaban natin yung personal plot twist natin. Why not? That's it.
Ayun, sige. Ayun, nabanggit ko na kanina, no? Even in this situation of the pandemic, you cannot survive alone. Hindi ka magsusurvive kung mag-isa ka lang. So speaking up for those who do not have the same voice as you do is actually an act of survival. To fight for the rights of those who do not have the same platform as you do is also an effort for survival. So magsusurvive ka lang as an individual kapag nag-survive yung community mo, pag nag-survive yung bansa mo. And I think survival is a very good inspiration for you to speak up. If you do not speak up, you will not survive. Your community will not survive. Your country will not survive. In less desperate and darker times, di ba, we usually do that exercise of the individual versus the collective, the individual and the collective. Siguro yung pwede ko lang i-advise kay Abby at saka doon sa iba pang mga nanonood na may parehong tanong ay try to multiply your dreams. When I say multiply, parang ano ba pangarap ko sa buhay ko? Okay naman yan pag natupad. Pero mas okay kapag yung pangarap mo sa buhay mo, mas maraming mga tao ang matupad din yung pangarap nila. Kasi in the end, you will live in a better society. Na, di ba? Pag natupad mo yung pangarap mo, natupad nila yung pangarap nila, mas maganda yung lipunan mo. So,
Yeah.
I would always tell people to try to multiply your dreams. And when I say multiply, it's not just your individual dreams, but, also try to help others achieve their goals in life, because you would be giving birth to a society that's more humane, a society where sabi nga ni Val kanina, where you want to bring up your children. So it's both a question of survival, of dreaming, yung kay Val kanina, of loving, tapos yung holistic development ni Jap, at saka yung binabanggit ni Patricia. And I'd like to end with that note: surround yourself with peers who would inspire you. Surround your peers who will inspire you not just to speak up for the less privileged, but to take action. And I think that is the beauty of the TAYO alumni community. You surround your peers with this amazing group of people.
Definitely.
Thank you. Salamat na salamat po sa lahat ng insights nyo. Hopefully, Abby, nasagot namin ang tanong mo. And as we end tonight's episode, ayan, may humahabol po, no? I'll read some comments later. But first,
Hi, Val.
thank you, Jap. Thank you, Val. Thank you, Perci, for joining me tonight. I know medyo maulan. Hanggang si Jai also. Jai supposed to join us tonight.
Oo, gusto ko
bigla
pa
daw
naman makita
umulan.
yung dress ni Jai kasi
Yes.
naka-aid dress siya today. So gusto ko makita yung
Yes.
kanyang bonggang aid dress sana.
So, yun, Jai, if you're still watching, kung hindi kami naglalag dyan ngayon sa Lanao, happy Eid sa iyong buong
Oo.
pamilya.
Yes, happy Eid po sa lahat ng ating Muslim brothers and sisters.
Yes.
Happy Eid, everyone.
Pakipicture na lang yung OOTD mo, tapos ipopost namin sa official Facebook
Yes.
page ng tayo.
I-edit na lang natin, lagay natin
Sa-
dito sa right side.
True, sabi ko nga po, pwede ko bang ma-share? So, nag-ask na ako ng permission to share her photo. And so, chine-check niya pa daw. So, chine-check niya sa kanyang asawa ata kung pwede yung picture na sinend niya sa akin. But, thank you guys for tonight. I'm trying to take notes with my phone sa lahat ng quotable quotes natin at mga hugot natin. And hindi ko sure kung paano natin gagawin yung SOCMED cards after this. But it was really an insightful evening. So, thank you guys for joining us and for talking about ano bang meron ngayon sa Pilipinas. And so I hope for the next few months that we won't be seeing each other physically, kayo po'y mag-ingat. Jap, especially you're in Iloilo, Val, all the way from Mindanao. And siguro, anuhin ko na, ipa-pressure ko na si Val in front of our viewers and in front of you. Val, yung entry niyo, Val, ha? We look forward, best. Plano ata nila magpasa-com. So,
Hindi pa nag-thai si Val. Dapat mag-thai siya. Yung goodbye, good night niya na thai.
Sawadee kap. Kukap ko na kap. Actually, I don't speak Thai. I just memorized a specific Thai line from a series I was watching. Kop chay na kap.
Pwede.
Again, guys, thank you so much. While you're still here, I'm actually, should I announce it or should I not announce it? We've been nakakatuwa kasi most of our conversations we're already introing for our next week's topic. For our next week's topic, we'll be talking about bakit kabataan? Bakit ang laki lagi ng hinihinging ambag para sa kabataan? So, I'll be sharing. So, we'll be gone for a few seconds and I'll come back na mukha ko na lang po ang makikita nyo. So, thank you, Jap, Val, Perci. I'm sharing with you the news on who will be our guest for next week. Wait, I'm trying to, ayoko magkamali ako sa pagpipindot ko. I'm really excited. My co-host Von, yung humabol lang tonight for the live watching us tonight. He's also my co-host. Excited is not enough to actually say kung ano nararamdaman namin, diba? We're pressured. But we're really excited kulang. As in, guys, Val, help me on this. Hindi ako capable for words to explain this. But our topic next week is Bakit Kabataan? And our guests are... Isa-isa tayo mag-goodbye. I'm so sorry, guys. I had to cut it out. Wala kaming audio when you look at the card. Our guests would be Miss Frankie Pangilinan, our iha ako starter ng movement na yon, and Senator Francis Pangilinan talking about bakit kabataan, bakit ang laki ng ambag lagi ng kabataan, bakit bida ang kabataan sa bawat aspeto ng kasaysayan, bakit kabataan. And so we hope next week you join us again for another episode of TAYO Talks Friday Fam Nights. Good night, guys!
Night.
Thank you. Ingat sa
Night,
lahat.
tayo 14.
Miyembro ka ba ng isang youth organization? May mga proyekto ba kayong nagawa o ginagawa ngayon para magbigay suporta sa mga kababayan natin sa panahon ng pandemya? Pagkakataon nyo nang sumali sa Search for 10 Accomplished Youth Organizations Awards o TAYO. Ngayong ika-18 taon ng TAYO, nais namin bigyang pagpupugay ang bayanihan ng kabataang Pilipino. Bisitahin lamang ang tayoawards.net/jointayo, fill up ng form at isubmit. Maaari kayong mag-submit ng maraming entries hanggang August 18, 2020. Ang mga tatanghaling awardee ay makakatanggap ng 50,000 pesos na SEA Grant mula sa Coca-Cola Foundation Philippines at San Miguel Corporation. Ano pang hinihintay nyo? Tayo na! Miyembro ka ba ng isang youth organization? May mga proyekto ba kayong nagawa o ginagawa ngayon para magbigay suporta sa mga kababayan natin sa panahon ng pandemya? Pagkakataon nyo nang sumali sa Search for 10 Accomplished Youth Organizations Awards o TAYO. Ngayong ika-18 taon ng TAYO, nais namin bigyang pagpupugay ang bayanihan ng kabataang Pilipino. Bisitahin lamang ang tayoawards.net/jointayo, fill up ng form at isubmit. Maaari kayong mag-submit ng maraming entries hanggang August 18, 2020. Ang mga tatanghaling awardee ay makakatanggap ng 50,000 pesos na SEA Grant mula sa Coca-Cola Foundation Philippines at San Miguel Corporation. Ano pang hinihintay nyo? Tayo na!
To those who are still watching, hopefully you can join us next week with Frankie Pangilinan and Senator Francis Pangilinan. And if you haven't joined the search yet, and kung meron kayong project for quarantine or pandemic response, join the search. Here is our tag. You could answer the form through that one. If you have questions, just send us a message on our page. Thank you, guys. Good night.